Yes, there have been allegations leveled against the coalition that it's anti-Islamic, that it would like to reduce the importance of the Sharia court. Do you think, what is your response?
I think it's ludicrous. Suggestions like that are completely unfair, untruthful, distortionate, I think intentionally so.
I think there is the perception that Article 11 encourages apostasy. That's one of the things we've heard and seen in terms of the materials and information that's being disseminated.
Article 11 does not in any way position ourselves against Islam the way it is being portrayed by the critics out there.
For myself, I think I can say that maybe the way Article 11 was set up in 2004 may have given rise to a misimpression that we were championing apostasy because the emphasis was freedom of religion, even the name Article 11. But by the time we went into the forums in 2006, it was more about constitutional rights and equal protection. The focus had shifted. And maybe to some extent that ambiguity resulted in the tensions, perhaps.
On the other hand, the mosques are being used, surahs, Malay papers I think are still printing quite a lot of information, giving a one-sided perspective on what Article 11 is doing.
Looking at it clinically, Article 11 is only about the Constitution. We've never said that we're attempting to displace Islam as the religion of the Federation. In fact, at every forum we've emphasized that we stand by the constitutional provision which declares Islam as the religion of the Federation. But we also stand by the guarantees of equality that the Constitution guarantees.
It's said that it's all been politicized and made to seem as if Article 11 has co-opted the other religious communities to challenge the position of Islam, which is far, far from the truth.
I think when Islam goes into the public space, and as it has done, it's no longer a matter just for Muslims. I think one of the reasons why we are where we are as a nation is for too long the non-Muslims said this was a Muslim problem, and they didn't see it as affecting them. They didn't feel like they were stakeholders. Now they see the stakeholders. Shamala's case, Murthy's case, they're seeing it come into their living room. They're seeing their children being converted. They're seeing bodies being snatched, as to use a common expression. And it's suddenly become a very live problem. And then at a higher level as well, as we see encroaching of these so-called Islamic values. I say so-called because I don't consider them Islamic values, but these so-called Islamic values into issues of governance and so on. But at the same time we see corruption and all of these other things. It's a problem. We've also emphasized repeatedly that Article 153, which provides for special status for the Malays and the indigenous, is not something we're challenging as well. But notwithstanding all our attempts at trying to reinforce the basic truths, the efforts have been distorted, have been misrepresented.
Article 11 launched an open letter to the Prime Minister and rather launched the signature campaign, and in a space of nearly 3 to 4 months collected about 20,000 signatures to support this open letter. Now what does the open letter call for? It calls for the government and the judiciary to uphold the supremacy of the Federal Constitution, to ensure governance in accordance with the Federal Constitution, to reaffirm that Malaysia shall not become a theocratic state, and to ask for the judiciary to be an independent, impartial and equal arm of the government. So we see that there is actually no mention here of anything relating to apostasy.
The fact that the authorities, the Prime Minister has responded so aggressively to this by saying that it should be not discussed, this comes as a big surprise. She speaks of Malaysia as a model for peaceful coexistence and dialogue among religions.
I think the government having acted was a good thing. I mean, it had to do something to avoid any untoward incident. But I think the way the government approached it was entirely wrong.
So the only way to understand it is, one, that he wants to contain a situation where purportedly it could become very sensitive. Or secondly, the government wants to control the nature of the dialogue, maybe only according to their terms.
I think the government should have been more broad-minded about it and should have said, all right, I think we need to contain the situation. let's cool it down for the moment, let's find other ways of constructive dialogue, and Article 11 would have been all right with that. I mean, we're still okay with the suggestion of there not being any forums, because we don't want to be the reason for any untoward incidents. But that doesn't mean there's a need for dialogue. And shutting down dialogue is going to lead to one validation of this sort of extremist behavior. So I think what Article 11 is trying to do is trying to not only show the problems that are existing outside in terms of the context, things I already alluded to, but also trying to show whoever it is that's influential in this sort of thing, that we need to find constructive ways in which we can dialogue and we must dialogue. Simply brushing it aside is not going to help. You know, whatever the political cost or otherwise, it's not going to help. And it's just going to make the problem get worse.
And this just does not provide a good basis for peaceful coexistence in the years to come. There's going to be disintegration instead of integration. And I don't see how the government is going to handle this unless they come to a recognition that it's only through interaction and through discussion, open discussion, not about religion and what the religion needs or the religious they want, but what we as Malaysians of all religious and ethnic communities can do together to bring about peace.